The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Departure from B612. The little prince stood at the precipice of his asteroid, B612, his gaze lost in the cosmic sea that stretched into infinity. A profound yearning stirred within him, an insatiable curiosity to unravel the enigmas that lay hidden in the cosmos. "The time has come," he murmured, "to seek the truths that elude my grasp here." His home with its singular bloom had always been his anchor, yet the peculiar souls he'd met, like the sorrow-drowning tippler and the wealth-chasing businessman, had sown seeds of disquiet in his heart. Their lives confined to self-imposed prisons of trivial pursuits seemed so alien to him. Why do adults ensnare themselves in webs of complexity, blind to the splendor that enfolds them? He pondered. The wise fox's counsel echoed in his thoughts, a beacon guiding him towards the unseen, the unspoken truths that his heart longed to comprehend. To find my path, he resolved, I must delve into the intricacies of affection and the essence of what truly matters. As he readied himself for the voyage, a cocktail of exhilaration and trepidation coursed through him. He was aware of the perils that lurked in the unknown, yet the lure of discovery, the quest for a deeper understanding, fortified his resolve. I will undoubtedly face trials, he contemplated, but with valor I shall overcome. The fruits of this odyssey will justify the hazards. With a valiant spirit and a purposeful stride, the little prince bid adieu to his cherished flower. Embarking on his odyssey across the universe, he was determined to unearth the secrets and forge the bonds that awaited him. "Goodbye, my dear companion," he whispered to the flower. "Your love will accompany me as I journey, and I vow to return, enriched with a more profound grasp of existence." And thus the little prince set forth on an expedition that would irrevocably transform his outlook and unveil the deep-seated verities that transcend mere appearances. The King's Empty Dominion. The King's Empty Dominion. The little prince stepped onto the planet with cautious curiosity, his eyes widening as he took in the sight of a solitary figure seated upon a grand throne that seemed too large for just one person. The king, draped in a robe that shimmered like the stars, regarded the prince with a mixture of expectancy and boredom. "Ah, subject!" the king exclaimed, his voice echoing in the emptiness. The little prince approached, puzzled by the grandiose display. "Why should I bow to you?" he asked innocently. "Because I am the king," the ruler replied, puffing out his chest. "I am the master of all I survey." The prince looked around at the barren landscape. "But there is no one here but you and me. Who are you ruling over?" The king seemed taken aback by the question, but quickly recovered. "That does not matter." The prince thought for a moment before speaking again. "What is power for if there is no one to share it with?" The king frowned, adjusting his crown. "It is about being acknowledged. Without someone to acknowledge my power, it feels empty." The little prince nodded, understanding dawning on him. So power is not just about giving orders, it's about being reasonable and knowing when to act. "Yes," the king agreed, a hint of loneliness creeping into his voice. The prince sat beside the king, looking up at the stars that twinkled indifferently. The prince gently said, "Maybe it's not about commanding others. Maybe it's about finding someone who understands you." The king looked at the little prince, a softness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Perhaps you are right. I don't see. Chanawasi. The little prince smiled, his thoughts drifting to his beloved flower. "Sometimes they are closer than we think, and sometimes they are waiting for us to return home." The king nodded slowly, and for a moment, the emptiness of his dominion seemed a little less vast. Lessons from a Wise Fox. In a lush green meadow, a young prince sat down, feeling the softness of the grass beneath him as the sun began its descent, painting the sky with a warm golden light. Here he encountered a fox, its fur as vibrant as the roses that once adorned his asteroid. "Good day," the prince greeted politely. The fox, its gaze filled with curiosity, returned the greeting and inquired about the prince's presence in its meadow. The prince explained his quest to understand the true meaning of life. Intrigued, the fox shared its wisdom about the concept of taming. It explained that taming was about forging a special connection where two beings become indispensable to each other. Through taming, the fox taught, one creates a unique bond that transcends the ordinary. The fox instructed the prince to approach it slowly, sitting at a distance, allowing it to adjust to his presence over time. It emphasized the power of shared moments and the creation of memories as the essence of true importance. The prince reflected on his own relationship with his rose, understanding that it was the time and care he invested that made her so dear to him. The fox's lesson culminated in a poignant realization. What truly matters are the invisible ties that bind us, the love, bonds, and memories that define our existence. As the prince bid farewell to the fox, he carried its wisdom in his heart, grateful for the guidance that would illuminate his path forward. Bonds of taming. In the heart of a vast golden desert, under the shade of a solitary tree, the little prince sat cross-legged, gazing at the fox who had just revealed the secret of taming. With a mix of curiosity and determination, the little prince agreed to the challenge. "Good morning," the little prince greeted the fox each day as he approached slowly. "Never too close, never too fast." The fox, with his coat of fiery orange, watched with keen eyes, a silent dance of patience unfolding between them. "Why do you sit so far from me?" the fox asked one day, his voice a gentle whisper on the breeze. "If I come closer, will you run away?" the little prince replied, his voice tinged with the hope of friendship. And so, the little prince learned the art of taming. He learned that to tame was to be patient, to be present, to listen, and to care. He learned that taming was not about possession, but about the creation of a bond, invisible and strong. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, the little prince sat beside the fox, their sides touching, a gentle breeze ruffling their fur and hair. The days passed, and with each visit their friendship blossomed. They shared stories of stars and flowers, of laughter and tears, weaving a tapestry of memories that neither time nor distance could fray. As the stars began to twinkle above, the little prince turned to the fox, his voice barely above a whisper. "It is time for me to go." With a final embrace, the little prince stood up, his heart heavy yet full. He looked back once more to see the fox, a solitary figure against the vastness of the desert, a forever friend tamed by love and care. And with that, the little prince carried the essence of their bond, invisible and eternal, as he continued his odyssey among the stars. The narrator's tale. As I sat in the desert surrounded by endless dunes of golden sand, I thought about how my life had taken an unexpected turn. My plane had crashed, leaving me stranded with limited supplies and a growing sense of desperation. That was when I met him, the little prince with piercing green eyes and a curious spirit. At first, I found him annoying, naive, and not fully understanding the gravity of our situation. I was focused on repairing my plane and finding water, while he seemed more concerned with the beauty of the stars and the possibility of hidden wells. But as we spent more time together, I began to see him in a different light. He was wise beyond his years, innocent, and had a unique perspective on the world. One day, as we walked through the desert, he asked me about my childhood. I told him about a legend from my old house where people believed there was a hidden treasure. Although it was never found, it created a sense of enchantment and mystery around the house. The little prince listened intently, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. "I always loved the desert," I said, "because it hides a secret well." He smiled, and I knew he understood what I meant. For him, what was truly valuable was often invisible to the eye and must be discovered through the heart. As we continued our journey, I realized that the little prince's presence brought a sense of wonder and meaning to my life. He made me appreciate the beauty in simple things, like the desert and its secrets. His words and actions revealed his depth of character, his empathy, and his profound understanding of the importance of love and connection. I remembered a conversation we had with a fox earlier in our journey. The fox had told us that it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. The little prince had nodded in agreement, and now I understood why. He saw the world through his heart, not just his eyes. As I looked at him, I felt a deep bond forming between us. He was no longer just a strange boy from another planet. He was a friend who had changed my perspective on life. And in that moment, I knew that our friendship would leave a lasting impact on me, long after our time together had passed. A trusting request. In the quiet of the desert, the little prince's voice broke the silence. "I fear the snake's bite," he whispered, a hint of resolve beneath his words. "It promises a swift journey from this world, and I must be brave." I clasped his hand, my resolve as firm as my grip. "Fear not, for I am here. Your journey, whether in this world or beyond, is not one you must face alone." He gazed into the horizon, his thoughts as distant as the setting sun. "Will you be there, at the place where worlds converge, where I first set foot upon the sands of earth?" "My word is my bond," I assured him. "At the crossroads of our worlds I shall remain. Your return, should fate decree it, will find me waiting." A smile, small yet significant, graced his features. "Then let that place be our pact, a beacon for a friendship that defies the bounds of time and space." I nodded, the weight of our shared moments anchoring me to the spot. "It shall be our beacon, little prince, and there I will await the echo of your laughter, the whisper of your return." The desert, vast and unyielding, bore witness to our solemn promise. It was more than a mere location. It was the heart of our bond, the silent custodian of a friendship that transcended the ordinary, a testament to a companionship forged in the face of adversity and the unknown. It was here at this sacred juncture that our spirits had intertwined, leaving an indelible mark upon the canvas of the cosmos. "And should the stars align," I whispered back, "our paths will cross again in this dance of celestial fate." The little prince, his silhouette framed against the twilight sky, nodded solemnly, his acceptance of life's ephemeral nature etched in the quiet dignity of his stance. "Until that moment," he said, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken promises, "carry our memories, for they are the stars that will guide you back to me." With that, we stood together, two souls cast upon the vast tapestry of existence, united by a bond that would endure beyond the sands, beyond the stars, into the very essence of eternity. The ultimate sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice. The little prince stood at the edge of the vast desert. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the sand. He shivered, feeling a chill despite the warm desert air. He knew that danger lurked in these lands, and his heart was heavy with worry. "Are you sure you have to go?" asked the narrator, his voice filled with concern. "I can try to find another way to protect you from the snake." The little prince nodded. "I must. I cannot bear the thought of losing my flower. You know how special she is to me." The narrator understood the depth of the little prince's love for his unique flower. It was a love that had driven him to leave his asteroid B612 and embark on this journey of exploration and self-discovery. "But it's so dangerous," the narrator protested. "The yellow snake is deadly. I fear for your safety." "I know," the little prince said softly, "but I have to try. I cannot let fear stop me from doing what I must." The narrator's heart sank as he realized the determination in the little prince's eyes. "At least take this," the narrator said, handing the little prince a small pouch. "It contains a powerful poison. If the worst should happen, it will end your suffering quickly." The little prince accepted the pouch solemnly. "Thank you. I hope I won't have to use it, but it brings me comfort to know that I have it." "Promise me something," the little prince said, turning to the narrator with a pleading look in his eyes. "Stay by our meeting point. If I don't return, it means I've been bitten by the snake. Please don't try to follow me. It's too dangerous." The narrator nodded, understanding the little prince's wish. "I promise. I will stay here and wait for your return." With a final smile, the little prince turned and walked into the desert. The narrator watched as his small figure grew smaller and smaller until he disappeared from view. Days turned into nights, and the narrator waited patiently by their meeting point, his heart filled with hope and worry. He scanned the horizon endlessly, searching for any sign of the little prince. Then one morning, as the sun rose, the narrator's heart sank. He saw a small figure stumbling across the sand, and as it drew closer, he recognized the familiar golden hair of the little prince. "You're back!" the narrator exclaimed, rushing forward to meet him. "Are you all right? What happened?" The little prince collapsed into the narrator's arms, his body weak and exhausted. "The snake," he whispered. "I found it, and it bit me, but I managed to get away." The narrator's heart froze as he realized the gravity of the situation. "Let me help you," he said, gently supporting the little prince. "We must get you somewhere safe." "No," the little prince said, his voice faint but determined. "It's too late for me. The poison is already in my body." "But we can try to find an antidote," the narrator insisted, his voice filled with desperation. The little prince shook his head. "There is no antidote. I knew the risks, and I accepted them. My flower needs me, and I must return to her, no matter what." The narrator's eyes filled with tears as he realized the little prince was right. There was no escaping the deadly venom of the yellow snake. "Please," the little prince whispered, "promise me that you'll take care of my flower. Water her, protect her, and tell her how much I love her." "I promise," the narrator said, his voice thick with emotion, "but I can't bear to let you go." The little prince managed a faint smile. "We all have our own stars to guide us. Mine has led me to you, and I am grateful for our friendship. But now, I must return to my asteroid." With those final words, the little prince closed his eyes, his body going limp in the narrator's arms. The narrator held him tightly, his heart breaking with grief and admiration for this brave soul. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the narrator laid the little prince's body to rest in the soft sand, surrounding him with flowers and memories of their time together. He whispered a final goodbye, knowing that the little prince's sacrifice would forever change him. And so, the little prince's odyssey came to an end, but his impact on the narrator and the world around him would endure. A testament to the power of love, responsibility, and the invisible bonds that connect us all. Echoes of the Heart. Echoes of the Heart. As I sat alone, lost in thought, I couldn't help but reflect on the little prince's mysterious disappearance. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only memories and the lessons he had taught me. I remembered the wise words of the fox, "You become responsible forever for what you have tamed." The little prince had understood this subtle power of admiration and responsibility, and it had changed him forever. As I gazed up at the sky, I felt a pang of sadness. But then I smiled, remembering the little prince's infectious laughter and his zest for life. Perhaps someday I shall tell you about the other stars that he visited. I knew that his spirit would continue to guide and inspire me, and that our friendship would endure forever. In that moment of reflection, I felt a sense of peace and gratitude for the little prince's presence in my life. I whispered softly, knowing that our connection would always be a part of me, guiding my path and reminding me of the true essence of life. The return to B612. The stars twinkled like a chorus of distant lanterns as the little prince stood on the edge of his beloved asteroid B612. His heart was a tapestry of joy and sorrow, for he had returned to his unique flower, yet carried the weight of the universe's lessons within him. As he stepped onto the familiar ground, the little prince felt a surge of emotions, his eyes brimming with the anticipation of reunion and the wisdom of his travels. "Hello," he whispered to the rose, who had been anxiously awaiting his return. "I've missed you more than the desert misses the rain." The rose, with a blush of petals, replied softly, "Tell me, what have you learned on your journey?" The little prince sat beside her, his gaze lost in the starry expanse. "I've learned that love is about understanding and caring," he said, recalling the wise fox's words. "It's the unseen bonds that weave through our lives, holding us together." The rose nodded, her thorns seeming less sharp in the presence of such truth. "And what of loss?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. He took a deep breath, the memory of the snake still fresh in his mind. "Loss," he mused, "is the heart's reverberation of love. It aches, yet it's a testament to the depths of our affections." In this way, the little prince shared his